He's a fascinating guy. I mean, he's kind of a quiet ego among large egos. That was his whole role during World War II, dealing with Montgomery, Churchill, oh my God, Patton. And he has a kind of a quiet strength too. Even capturing his voice is a very difficult thing because it's somewhat high-pitched, but at the same time, it has resonance. So it's an interesting character for me. It's not necessarily somebody you'd think that I am right off the bat be playing. A lot of people say, you could play Truman. Sure. But it's like, it was a tough job for me. My mother's from the South. My mother grew up in Pass Christian, which I always thought was in Louisiana until someone told me that's Mississippi, sweetheart. But it's the idea of, we talk about with Lee, that people have forgotten what it was like 60, or like now, almost 50 years ago. That what it is like, and you're going, it seems like 50 years ago, but you realize how intense it was, how violent it was, how provocative it was. And these changes, which now, having a black president, you go, that's kind of the whole purpose of the script, to say, do you remember what it was like? Do you remember how violent, and do you remember the changes that were made by different presidents trying to, drag us into the 20th century and now into the 21st century? So yeah, that's kind of my role as the beginning of that process. It's interesting, he was basically just saying, take your time, which for me is like, what? Because I'm so used to just rapping quick and firing. He was going, you got the gig, which I forgot. It's just the idea that, even in a conference with advisors, that it's still, you're basically thinking out loud with other people, kind of interjecting, which was an interesting process for me, going, really? Yeah, that they're giving him advice, but at the same time, he has to make the decision. And taking the time, like you said, take longer. I went, you're serious? Because normally I'm supposed to be like, snap.